Hi all and welcome back to Road to 26.2, where today we're going to talk about my training plan in the lead up to the Southampton Marathon in May. This is going to be a very high level overview of my plan, because obviously 18 weeks, so a lot of different variables that go into that, and this is going to be 6 different elements of my training plan. Goal time, pacing, weekly mileage, recovery, and weekly schedule. So first of all, what you want to do when you are setting out that training plan, whether it's for a marathon or a half marathon, you need to know your goal. And that can be anything from just completing the race or to going, sub 3 hours. I'm going for a sub 3 hour 30 marathon. It's quite an ambitious goal, especially considering it's my first, but I did the Leeds half last year and I achieved a 1 hour 31 minute time. So moving on now quickly to topic number 2, and that is paces. So different types of workouts need different paces, and of course you can't run at 100% the whole time. I think that's one of the main misconceptions when it comes to a training plan. You need to vary your workouts. You can't just go out and smash out your top pace every single time, otherwise you're going to get injured and really you're not going to enjoy it as well. I know how fast I can run a 5k, a 10k, a mile, and now a half marathon as well. So then I can judge the rest of my pacings from there. So if I start with my half marathon, so my time was 1 hour 31. My fastest 5k is actually 19 minutes 30. My 10k time is about 41 minutes. And my best mile is 5:30. Therefore, what I can do with this is determine the rest of my paces using a chart. So what I'm going to do with these times is convert them into mile pace over these distances. So for my mile pace, I'm going to go for 5:45 to 6 minutes. For the 5 kilometre best, I know that to achieve around about 19.5 minutes, it's a 6.5 minute mile. For my 10 kilometre best, I'd have to run a 6 minute 45 second mile. For that half marathon time of 1 hour 31, I'm going to round it up to around 1 hour 35. So the average mile pace for that would be 7 minutes and 15 seconds. Now with these numbers, I can then also determine my projected marathon pace time and also my tempo time. If I do want to hit that 3:30 marathon goal on a nose, then I'll have to run at an 8 minute mile pace. So your tempo pace is relevant to a tempo workout, so we'll get onto that in a minute. But my tempo pace will be about 7 minutes to 7:05 minute miles. And that across the board is how I have my pacings, which I can then implement into all of my training sessions easily. Now I didn't leave recovery pace in there, and now some of you may be familiar with recovery pace, but for me, recovery is about keeping that heart rate down and just running at a sustainable level. So really, I don't have a recovery time, I just go off feel and off my heart rate. So what I want to touch upon now is mileage. And obviously when it comes to running 26.2 miles, you need to build up your mileage to be able to sustain that on race day. So over my 18-week plan, I'm going to build my mileage up in increments. However, you don't increase the mileage up all the way until race week. That's because there's something called a taper period. And I'll cover that in more detail in another video. But essentially, that's where you wind down the miles to make sure that you're ready and prepared for that marathon. So essentially, I started off on week 1 with 25 miles. I said in my first video that I'd been consistently running, just upwards of 20 miles a week since about August. And that really was just to get me prepared for this training for the marathon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase that mileage slowly and steadily by around about 3 to 5 miles maybe per week. Some weeks will stay the same, and I'll actually adapt this as to how I feel as I'm going through the plan. The idea is that by peak week for me, I will be hitting around 63 miles. That translates to 100 kilometres, which is roughly about 2.25 marathons in a week. So that's a lot of mileage, and obviously it's going to be very taxing on my body. But the thing is, you don't just run these miles as you do in Please. You have to do different types of workouts and different types of training to get you ready for running at different paces on the day. However, there is one week where I drop slightly, and that's going to be for the half marathon. I really want to use this as a tester for myself to see where I'm at in terms of my fitness, and I don't want to be bunked out by the time I come to the Sunday because I've done a full week of training already. So I'm going to drop my mileage slightly to about 41 miles that week and then pick up again after. And the good thing is that's just as I'm coming into the second half of my training. Now topic number 4 is the type of workouts you can do. So in my week, I have 4 different types of runs. I have my recovery runs, I have my speed runs, I have my strength runs, and I have my endurance runs. Now the idea is that you need to mix up this training so that you're developing your speed, you're developing your strength in your running, but you're also developing your cardiovascular endurance. So the first type of training is speed training. And now there are different types of speed training, from track workouts to intervals to fartlek training, etc. The main idea with speed training is that you're improving your form, because when you're asked to run faster, your form has to be better. You have to exaggerate the movements as well. Your stride has to increase, your cadence needs to be quicker, and this really helps with that. And then what can happen from this speed training is you can translate that into your longer distance running. Next up is strength workouts, and these can be to do with speed as well. But one of my favourite parts of strength training is hill repeats and hill workouts. So getting that strength in your legs, because obviously throughout a marathon you're going to have to run at an incline at times, but it also builds up the muscle in your legs and makes you a stronger runner overall. If you're building strength in your legs as well, this will help with your running form, providing you're doing it correctly. Running up a hill can also help with your form because you're exaggerating the movement. Next up we have endurance workouts. Now these are the longer ones. These are the ones that are going to get you through that 26.2 miles. This is really training your cardiovascular system and getting your body used to running at that distance. So these are normally the longer miles. For your speed training and your strength training, they're probably going to be smaller because they are more intense. But the endurance runs will be a little bit less so. You can build it up from your recovery pace, and then you can go into your speed paces such as your tempo, your 5k, your 10k. Typically for me, I have about 1 or 2 endurance runs in a week. I might do a midweek medium long run, and then I'll definitely do a long run at the weekend on a Saturday or a Sunday. And that will be my highest mileage run of the week. With your speed workouts, they tend to be very low mileage, and this is because they are quite a lot more intense. Your strength workout will normally be a shorter mileage as well. That is because it is intense on your legs, and you'll probably be raising your lactic threshold, which means your legs will probably burn up. And finally, that takes us onto the recovery pace, and this is the one that people are probably going to be most, happy to hear. I certainly was actually, and this is one of the mistakes from my previous training, is that I didn't really incorporate recovery pace. Why? Because I thought every single run you just need to max out and you need to give it your all. That is not the case. Recovery pace is running when your heartbeat is low, and it should be at a conversational pace. Therefore, like in my first video, you should be able to talk to a camera. So practice that, take your camera out with you. So with recovery pace, I use my heart rate monitor to track it. And I try to keep my heart rate below 140 BPM when I start, and then below 150 BPM by the time that I finish. But this is because sometimes when you're training by heart rate, your core temperature can rise during the run, and therefore it makes your heart work harder. However, this isn't a true reflection of the effort that you're exerting into the workout. We'll explain more about heart rate in another video. I tend to incorporate 2 to 3 recovery runs a week. These tend to be in between my speed, strength and endurance workouts, because you just need to get the miles in. So I think if you go out and do some more recovery runs, you might actually start to enjoy running a little bit more. Recovery runs are also really important because you don't want to overexert yourself in your training. If you're going out every single day and going at your maximum, you're going to overtrain and you're going to get injured. And then that brings me on to topic number 5, which is recovery. Another aspect of recovery is having your rest days. Now this depends on what kind of level you're at with running. For me, I'm trying to attain that 3:30 marathon time. Therefore, I'm incorporating about 1 to 2 days of rest in my weekly schedule. For me, it's best if I have these rest days during the week, because obviously I work, so these are the days when I actually have less time to fit in my run. Also, it would be a good idea to incorporate these after either the speed workouts or the endurance workouts, because this is when you're probably going to be more in need of rest and recovery after those intense runs. Rest days are so important. You need them because your body needs to recover. It can be easy to get into that trail of thought thinking that, wow, I need to prepare for this marathon, I can't have any rest days. If you do that, you're just going to get injured. And believe me, I learned from that last year. I was 1 month out from my half marathon and I got all sorts of problems in my knees, in my feet, and it really hurt. So make sure you're getting those rest days and you're also incorporating those recovery runs. And finally, your weekly schedule. How are you going to fit all these miles in? You're working full time, you've got your social life to balance. How are you going to do it? Well, you have to think carefully about it. No marathon plan is the same. It always changes between person to person. Whether you're getting them in the morning, whether you're getting them in at lunch while you're at work, or whether you're getting them in the evening when you get back. It's completely down to you. Just make sure it works to you. So this is an example for me. I know that I can't get my long runs in during the week. I can get a medium run in maybe, but I cannot do a 10 to 15 miler to even a 20 miler down the line while I'm working. A, because I'm going to be absolutely shattered if I do that in the morning and I'm not going to be able to perform at work. And B, just simply because I can't fit that in with my day. That's nearly 2 hours of running, maybe even 3 hours of running. It's not attainable. Therefore, I shift my longest run always to a Saturday or a Sunday. I like doing it on a Saturday because then it kind of sets me up for the weekend and I'm like, yeah, I've done that. And I can enjoy my Sunday and have a rest day or do some light recovery miles. But this is what my week will tend to look like generally. And this is a pattern that I'm trying to follow every single week and a routine that I'm trying to follow as well. So on a Monday, I'll do some recovery miles and I'll either get these in the morning or in the evening. On a Tuesday, I will tend to do a speed workout. And now I normally do this on a treadmill when I'm at work because it's easy to fit in and it means I can have a little bit of extra time in bed as well. I don't have to do it in the morning or the evening. Now on a Wednesday, if I'm doing a recovery, it depends on the distance. I might do a medium long run. Therefore, I might do it in the morning or I might do it in the evening. And then on a Thursday, I'll tend to do a strength session or a speed session again. Now, when it comes up to those higher mileage weeks, I'll probably have to incorporate some recovery runs in with those sessions as well. So when I've done my speed and I've done my strength training, I'll then also have to just do maybe 2 to 3 miles just to keep the mileage ticking on. Then on a Friday, I'll probably have a rest day because I know that I've got that long run coming on a Saturday and of course it's a Friday, so you want to relax a little bit. Saturday it's that long run. I'll try and block that day out so that I can just run and then recover. And on a Sunday, I'll either do some light recovery miles or I'll have that rest day. I'm quite flexible when it comes to the recovery and rest days. You can change it up if you want to have a rest day on a Wednesday and maybe do some more running on a Friday, just some light miles. But what I tend to do is have Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday as the rest days and I interchange when I'm running and when I'm resting. But that Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday are pretty much set in stone because then that gives me a day between just to have that recovery as well. What I like to do as well is I like to write my weekly schedule out in advance because I know what's coming the week ahead and then I know where I can fit my miles in. The important thing that I try not to do is try not to stress over it. I know that I'm working, so some things might come up that mean maybe I can't run today. But what I'll just do is I'll just try and shuffle it around and remember that maybe one day missed isn't going to hinder my time too much. But I know that as long as I'm getting those miles in over the course of the week, I'm hitting my goals and I'm on course to reach that time that I really want to set out to get. One thing I love to do as well is I like morning running. Get a nice early night's sleep, get up in the morning, get it done, and you feel so much better for the rest of your day. You feel accomplished, you feel like you've achieved something already, and it really does set the tone to continue. I've been getting up really early in the morning since about September, August time to do my running, and I feel like I've reached a routine now where it feels normal. 4 a.m. 4 a.m. is not normal, I know, but then that gives you the discipline to know that you can fit that run in no matter what day it is. So just to recap, I'm going for that 3:30 marathon, and then this helps me to outline the paces that I should be doing for my different runs and my different types of training. Mileage is also really key, so I know how many miles that I'm going to be doing in the next week and the next, building up to that peak week and then tapering down until race day. Then the types of workouts. I'm typically doing speed workouts, I'm doing strength workouts, I'm doing endurance workouts, and I'm doing recovery runs. Recovery. I'm getting in those recovery miles, taking it nice and easy, and I'm getting in those rest days as well, whether it's a Monday, a Wednesday, a Friday, or a Sunday. And finally, I'm planning out my weekly schedules. I'm getting 5 to 6 training days a week with 1 to 2 rest days. Planning out the schedule really helps you to keep on track with the training, and so far I'm 5 weeks in and I'm feeling good. So thank you everyone for watching. I hope this can help you as well if you're preparing for a marathon or a half marathon, even a 10k or a 5k. Make a plan, stick with it, and just trust the process as well. I'm just going to plug in there, if you haven't donated already or shared, please see in the description my GoFundMe page for some Wilfus Hospice. So thanks very much everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.
Live it up, live it up, live it up, live it up.